This is Diesel. He's a recent UHA member. Diesel lives in a typical Spanish Revival house in View Park, a 3-bedroom, 2-bath with a garage and a comfortable backyard. View Park is a gem of the Los Angeles neighborhoods. Diesel loves its parks and fresh air, the closeness to the ocean, and the easy drive to so many great places in LA. 20 minutes to everywhere. Up here, on this wonderful hill, Diesel's house is worth a little over $500,000. If Diesel could move his house to a similar lot, say 6 miles away in Cheviot Hills, the same house would be worth $1.2 million. In fact, Diesel's house would be worth more in many areas of town. So why would the exact same house be worth so much more when nothing inside of it has changed? The answer is that what's changed is not inside the house, but outside. It's the neighborhoods. When Diesel walks through shopping areas nearby, he sees this and this. When Diesel walks through shopping areas near more highly valued homes, he sees this and this. Of course, great neighborhoods are more than just attractive commercial areas. Great neighborhoods have better land use and zoning enforcement, and strong community development plans. Other factors are services like street sweeping, trash pickup, and tree trimming, and of course, fire protection and the presence of nearby law enforcement for safety. These things are some of the things that make homes more valuable, because when people buy a home, they're really buying the home and the neighborhood. And home values are important for many reasons. Of course, when you sell your home, but even if you aren't planning on selling your home right now, you may need it for early retirement or for unexpected medical care. You may need to move if you get a better job offer. Home values affect your credit rating, they add to your financial security, and they give you and your family more options now and in the future. So how do homeowners in an area work together to create a better neighborhood? How do so many different people manage so many different ideas, needs, and interests? How can cats and dogs work together to make their neighborhoods safer, stronger, more desirable, and in the end, make their homes more valuable? The answer is a homeowners association. Homeowners associations, such as UHA, are how homeowners work together using their collective power to provide vigilance in zoning matters and to ensure that residents are represented and protected. By working together, residents can improve services, keep bad things out of their neighborhoods and the surrounding areas, attract more desirable businesses like shopping and dining to their area, and lobby the county and city for improvements and protections. And homeowners associations are made up of two things: the people who live in the homes, and the bylaws, which govern the organization so that all the members have a voice in what the association does, what it promotes, and how it operates. For bylaws to work, they have to be clear and define the rules for everyone from the newest member to the highest officer. Everyone abides by the bylaws. UHA's bylaws are over 30 years old. They were written the same year the Sony Walkman was introduced, before desktop computers could be found in homes, when Good Times was a hit TV show, and when Gloria Gaynor was on the radio.
At first I was afraid, I was petrified.
But you don't have to be afraid or petrified. Bylaws are written in normal English and usually run 10 to 20 pages. If bylaws are clear, it only takes a minute to find an answer to any question you might have about how UHA functions. Recently, the UHA Interim Board formed a Bylaws Committee, and the best thing about the Bylaws Committee is that it reports to you. The Bylaws Committee consists of 6 members. Wanda Greenhill and I are co-chairing the committee. Charles Balls, Sally Hampton, Reginald Smith, and Tom Rue have volunteered their time and effort to serve on this committee. In addition, past UHA President Tony Nicholas has volunteered to be an advisor to us. For those newer members who are unfamiliar, Tony Nicholas was president of UHA from 1990 to 2002, 12 years. Under his leadership, UHA won an award for excellence from the National League of Cities in the category of community organizations. So we're grateful that he's offering his insight and guidance in this important process. The goals of the Bylaws Committee are to clarify any areas of the bylaws which have been prone to various interpretations at various times, so that everyone reads the rules in the same way, to maintain the purpose and integrity of the UHA organization, to define the roles, rights, and responsibilities of the officers and the members, and to create a fair and inclusive environment so that UHA is an inviting organization to join and a fulfilling organization to participate in. All of this is going to require an eye to detail. For example, this is a map of UHA boundaries. In the current bylaws, the boundaries are streets, shown in yellow, which makes sense. It seems pretty clear. But let's move in for a closer look. This is Stalker. People living in homes on the other side of Stalker are not considered to be eligible for UHA membership. If one were a stickler for detail, or one wanted to interpret the bylaws to exclude another member, one could look at a home around the corner, say here on Victoria, and argue the point that since the boundaries in the bylaws are streets, and this is outside of the boundary, then just like Stalker, someone on this side of Victoria is not able to be a UHA member or an officer. Nobody in the Bylaws Committee holds this view, but the bylaws aren't clear. Since the purpose of the Bylaws Committee is to be inclusive and clear, the bylaws can have a sentence that reads, "The UHA area includes homes with street addresses on both sides of the boundary streets." It's that simple. Of course, there are things we can't do. We can't change the nature of UHA. We can't, for example, turn it from a homeowners association into a squirrel farm, although Diesel has already made the suggestion. So we have to focus on the things that we can do and the areas that we can fix. For example, dues are $25 and due on September 1st. That's all the bylaws really say about dues, due on September 1st and half off if you pay after March. There's nothing in the bylaws that specifically ties that dues date to any penalty, membership right, or privilege. It doesn't say you can or can't vote if you pay your dues before or after a certain date. It doesn't say you can't serve on a committee or volunteer to help on the garden tour. If someone wants to pay their dues on September 4th because that's payday, I don't think anyone would begrudge them the right to stand outside in the hot sun and welcome hundreds of visitors who enjoy our annual garden tour. In the past, UHA has accepted dues payments at any time of the year and extended membership rights, including the right to vote, the minute you write your check. But, just like the issue of boundaries, the bylaws are vague. They don't say you will suffer a penalty, but they don't say you won't either. Although this past election of UHA officers was moved from the traditional date in October to January, it was decided against past precedent to interpret the bylaws so that this time, if you did not pay your dues before September 1st, you would not be allowed to vote or run for office. This means that members who paid their dues in September, October, November, December, and the first 3 weeks of January, right up to the election, were not allowed to vote, nor were they allowed to run for office. That's almost 5 months of membership. Those members who ran campaigns going door to door, meeting their neighbors, opening their homes for campaign get-togethers, printing and distributing flyers, spending their own time, effort, and money to build a following, if they paid their dues in those 4 months, well, even when they were received write-in votes, those votes were not counted. Votes from members who voted for these candidates were thrown out, unreported in the election results, which I'm sure many of you remember caused distress. All because the bylaws weren't clear. and some members were counting on them being interpreted as they always had been, while those running the election chose to interpret them in another way. No member wants to see this happen ever again. But the truth is, there's even a question as to what makes a member. In the bylaws, members are persons, yet memberships are sold by household, the same as a family membership to a gym would be. The entire family becomes members by paying one set of dues for the household. So the question is, what is a member? Who gets to vote? Does the house get to vote? Or is it the man of the house, or more sensibly the woman? Should both heads of household get a vote? Or are we creating some Frankenstein monster with one vote but two heads? Or three? Currently, under our 30-year bylaws, this simple question is open to interpretation. And that's a problem. Fortunately, the bylaws provide us a path to solve these problems through amendment. This way we can fix the problems in clarity before they create more problems or things get worse. The Bylaws Committee was established to help us sort through these issues and make recommendations to UHA members. Issues the committee is working on include defining membership, including dues payments, rights, and privileges, roles and responsibilities for officers, including term lengths and duties, refining issues regarding committees, meetings, and record keeping, and of course, election rules, including everything from who is eligible to run and vote, right down to how the votes are counted. These are important decisions, and although the Bylaws Committee is specifically directed to create the most fair and inclusive bylaws we can create, we don't have the final say on whether or not the proposed changes are adopted. Who makes that decision? You. You, the UHA members. At our next UHA meeting, Thursday, June 17th, the Bylaws Committee will make a report to all members and propose easy-to-understand changes that will clear up these issues. We will post these bylaws online and pass out copies to every member who comes to the meeting. This is a transparent process which counts on members being involved and informed. This process is called ratification. Ratification of UHA bylaws requires that 2/3 of the members at the ratification meeting vote to adopt each specific amendment. So, 1 month later, at the July 15th meeting, each individual amendment will be voted on. Every adult who is a member of a dues-paying household who shows up at this meeting should get to vote, and every vote should be counted in front of those in attendance. The amendments that pass, those that meet with your approval, will then amend the old bylaws to create the new official bylaws of UHA. It is important that members participate in this process, that they offer their opinions and stay informed as this process proceeds, because bylaws changes should be something that the large majority of us agree to and that every member agrees to abide by. You know, in the end, UHA is just us and the bylaws. Bylaws define how we all work together as neighbors, friends, cats and dogs, to address the many challenges we face up here on this wonderful hill. And it is a wonderful hill. It's a gem. But we can still make it better. We can improve it and strengthen it in many different ways. We should protect it. We can make it an enviable neighborhood that we all enjoy living in and participating in and caring for. But to do so, we're going to have to work together.